Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the meditation for today. And I'm going to walk through the meditation a bit. I'm not sure how many people are new and how many have been with me before, so I'm just going to go through that for a little bit. And I generally do a little talking, kind of explaining some esoteric teachings that I normally give in a very long teaching, but I'll kind of make them a little short. And I'm going to go through the process of doing an invocation, which will be a part of the meditation, and I'll explain that. And then the meditation that we're going to do is the Om, and the Om will last 20 minutes, and I'll be the one that's looking at the time and knowing when we're to stop. So just keep your eyes closed and continue Oming with me. As I'm Oming, you want to do the same time, the same length. So the way we're going to do the Om is that the focus is to breathe in and take a nice deep breath, relaxed deep breath, all the way down to your lower abdomen. Don't breathe up in your chest, breathe low. Bring that breath all the way down. Try and make it last about 6 or 7 seconds. Yeah, and in that process, we're going to bring the energy in to our body, which is a lot of chi. You know, every time we do the Om, we're kind of invoking a strong spiritual influence around us. So that energy is going to come into us, and as we breathe out, we're going to do the Om. And the Om that we're going to do is O-M, Om. We're going to repeat that over and over. We want the length of the Om to be the same length of the amount of breath that we take in. Yeah, so it's going to be a little long in breathing. It's long in going out and saying the Om. So don't push yourself. Make sure that you try and keep it slow and easy so that you don't run out of breath before we get to the end of the Om. Stay with me. Stay in sequence with me. Yeah? You want to do it loud enough so it resonates in your body. Yeah? The influence of doing the Om and having it resonate in your body is going to reach your throat center, your heart center, and your head center. And those three particular centers are monadic opportunities. They're monadic energies. So when we're doing the Om, we're actually resonating more on the level of heaven, more on the level of a monadic influence. And it's going to be the impression. It will impress upon your soulful expression in life, which will then express upon your personality. Yeah? So in the invocation, we do an invocation for the personality or the ashram, soul, and monad. Yeah? And my teaching is all about the relationship of us transcending our normal daily pattern of personality. The way we look at things, how we think things are going on, how we think we know what's going on. Yeah? In the relationship of our esoteric reality of life, there is a lot more going on than we know. Yeah? So the one thing we do know is that we don't know. Yeah? So our influence in life is to discern and discriminate and allow change to take place in our life. That's where the soul comes in. The soul and the monad is the opportunity for change to happen in your life manifested by God. That's destiny. And as that influence of opportunity takes place in your life, you have the option of choosing the right direction, how you work with that opportunity, and how it takes an effect on your life on a day-to-day basis. Every little opportunity that comes up triggers change as to what might have happened, what could have been the choices that you made, what could have been the influences in your life. You may need changes in your life, you may need a personality makeover, you may need a more spiritual influence that is more natural, more divine in relationship of your humanity. Yeah? And all that comes from the soul. All that comes from the invocation, evocation. When we're doing this in the meditation, we're doing an invocation, evocation to bring about the dispelling of glamours that holds us into a system that is very old, habitual. Yeah? And it's not about anything negative or bad. It's about the fact that we come from many incarnations, an infinite number of incarnations, but each incarnation has a generation to it and another generation, and each one is an incarnation. So if you look at ourselves now in this present point in time, the only thing we're actually affected by is about the last 3 generations or last 3 incarnations that we've had. Those have an influence upon us that come back around like a wheel of life, yeah? And it comes back around and it influences to work it out as an opportunity. God creates that opportunity. God gives us redemption. God gives us change. And every new life we get is an enormous change to the old life that we had. But it carries with it circumstances and situations that we need to learn from that happened in the previous life. Going as far back as only 3 lives. It doesn't go back to ancient times. That would be ridiculous. Yeah? There's no way we could be working out those kind of processes. It would be just staggeringly insane. Yeah? And God doesn't work that way. God is with us all the time, 24 hours a day, in every single life. So the process of previous lives is a process, say 3 lives ago, is a process of lives just recently prior to that. So if we look at our life right now, we're looking at the cycle of time that Hitler existed and many wars around the world was taking place. We look at a cycle of time where America was just found and its relationship of the Civil War and the relationship of the founding fathers and how it changed opportunity after opportunity. It changed us to be more spiritually grounded, normal people, yeah? Rather than coming from 5 lives ago or 8 lives ago or 10 lives ago where we would have been in India, or we would have been in China, or we would have been in a caste system that is involved with the culture that we're incarnated in. Yeah, and that really became a dormant part of our growth, a very static part of our growth. And every life that we would reincarnate, we would have many things that would come back on that. If we were Hindi, we would be, we'd go, oh my God, we're Brahmin, and you'd have a really great chance of reincarnating as Brahmin. So little change would take place. And it wasn't until the world was influenced by me, by the avatar and the incarnation of the avatar, facilitating change and education through the monad and through telepathy and transmission, that every life was given opportunities of change, of inventiveness, of creativeness, of new ways of looking at life, and new desires to leave behind what was old. Leave that country, leave that culture, leave that identity, and seek out a way in which you can have freedom, to express yourself, freedom to marry the person that you love, that you found, freedom to be in a religious, spiritual experience that was dominated by your family or your culture or your identity that you are in your life, maybe, Hindi or maybe Muslim or whatever, Every life we're given the opportunity to free ourselves from those dogmatic influences that keep us into an area to where we can't really think very clearly. We can only think habitually. And we have very strong patterns of feeling that we have to be really connected to that. We have to be obliged to feel that we're obligated to have to believe a certain system, believe in a certain way. And that reality, as time goes on, and especially in the last 3 generations, the last 3 incarnations of every human being, those situations have changed dramatically. And our ability to, from life after life, in those 3 incarnations, we've changed from having to marry someone within the same family, someone within the same culture, that we had to do for hundreds of years, having those relationships coming back into our lives. And sometimes they'd be people who were slave owners. Sometimes they'd be people who were lunar lords that ruled your family and ruled your ways of life. Like in Tibet, there are many people who are obligated, because of their relationship of their family, that they have debt to people within the Tibetan government, or people who own the land, or people who owned authority in relationship to that country. And that when your grandfather would die, you would then take on that obligation, yeah? And you would have an enslaved situation, an indentured slave situation, that didn't allow you the freedom to live the life that you meant to live. And if you study Milarepa, you'd find that that was exactly his situation. Yeah, and that he was obligated, and that he felt he had to do certain things and couldn't get out of it. And he broke away from that. Yeah, he broke away into many different ways of thinking and communicating and coming into Buddha, manifesting, even though everybody was believing Buddhism had to be a certain way, which was more shamanic and more witchcraft than it was Buddhism. Yeah, Milarepa was able to break away from that. Even though his family was indentured slaves, he was able to break away from that and learn from his own consciousness by changing his habits. He'd fall into those habits, he'd be feeling obligated within those habits, but as time went on, he saw the reality of how he had to let go of that, how he had to not follow these belief systems. Same things happened with Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha was born a prince, and that he was obligated to go off into, if he was to be a religious person and spiritual person, he had to be with these people that were more in relationship to fanaticism, yeah, more in relationship to Swamiism, yeah, and their dogmatic attitude as to how you're going to reach enlightenment and how you're going to become spiritual. And his fasting and all the terrible dogmatic things that he had to do include leave his family, go off into his own relationship and develop spirituality. He still got stuck from previous lives into a Swami life, into being a prince for a long period of time, into these dogmatic situations. In every single case, he had to break away from that and come to his own freedom. Yeah. So in all truth, our evolution is to attain freedom. Yeah. To attain the right to spiritual truth, and for us to be true human beings that are clear from the karma from previous lives of lunar qualities and obligation to a life of love, where the laws of love actually become a process of our evolution, and we actually can bring them into our life, which is the soul. And that's all brought about by the conscious actions of the avatar, bringing about new sciences, new evolution, new changes in the world, even finding America, changing all of the things that we thought were dogmatically impossible, are all brought about by the constant reincarnation of the more advanced reality of the truth of the avatar. And as that continues its process, it raises everybody up into their evolutionary reality. So my meditations is aligned monadically so that we can house inside of ourselves, give ourselves a cleansing during the Om, and allow ourselves to receive the blessing of the incarnation of the avatar, receive the blessing of the ongoing evolution that goes on within the avatar's life. Yeah, a lot of people, most people, have absolutely no idea of what goes on in the life of the avatar, what goes on really in the life of Jesus or Buddha or Krishna in all of my lives. Yeah, it's just a history. It's just a little bit of a story, of bits and pieces that are hearsay. But the real reality can be sought out and felt and experienced, and you can connect into that reality because it's Dharma. And in the Dharma world, in the Buddha activity, that Buddha activity becomes impressed upon into everybody's activity. We all get the opportunity to have electric cars. We all get the opportunity to have solar. We all get the opportunity to find people that we love and friends that we can have good relationships with, and trusting companies that we can work with and aspire to do soulful things for humanity that is really our humanity. Yeah? Things that we need to do in order to be the fellowship of God, in order to relate with God and know that God has a plan and God is working it out through us. and that God provides everything, provides every single thing that it takes for us to move through this evolution and attain what it is God has set forth for us, yeah? Which is prosperity, and good fortune, and the opportunity to see things in revelation, see things in the light, rather than worry and doubt and suspicion and all the dogmas that come with religious fanaticism. All those things get cleared away because they're part of our previous lives. Yeah? So in every life, as I'm doing what I'm doing as the avatar, what I do is that I'm cleansing the process of past life karma, cleansing the energy of influences of dogma. All the glamours of all the rays I work in order to transmute, so that they're no longer glamours, that they become virtues. And that those virtues become opportunities. And every time you develop a bit of a virtue, you develop the ability in your mind, in your emotions, and in your active life to actually have changes take place that are revealing, yeah? Part of a revelation, yeah? And it allows that revelation to manifest as a place in which God can externalize, yeah? Until the process of cleansing takes place inside of humanity, the externalization of the avatar is impossible. Yeah, simply because people are not telepathically capable of receiving that level of initiation, that level of integration. So this work of doing meditation, putting out the tools, putting out the CDs that I do, are all part of a science of invocation that helps to further what it is that everybody is going through, which is redemption. Yeah? Their ability to redeem themselves from past lives that have nothing to do with them doing something evil or doing something negative against someone, but actually the collective embodiment of Hitler's regime and all of the different dogmatic issues of religions and things like that that happened from generation to generation. It was worse in the past. It was worse 300 years ago. It was worse 500 years ago. You know, people were slain. People were held back. People were enslaved. People were put into situations to where they had to do bad things simply because they were dedicated to following a particular belief system, following a particular leader or a particular government, yeah, like Hitler or others. So all of that has changed. All of that has been redeemed. All of that is being freed up inside of every living being. But there's still a large amount of what's left over in that dogmatic reality. So there are an enormous number of people who are very sixth ray, which is very fanatical. They're fanatical, meaning they're fans of things that have to go away. Yeah, there are fanatical influences of belief systems in people, places, and things. You know, the attitude behind war. They're totally believing that, you know, they're saving humanity by going off to war and doing what they're doing to save humanity, and that losing their legs and going insane and being all kinds of dismembered, you know, those things are justified by the process of saving the world. But the truth is, and we'll find out in the future, that the world gets saved through Christ. The world gets saved through monadic influence, influencing the soul to wake up so that we don't have those behaviors. We don't have that relationship of desire or fear or hate based on the law of hate. We have all relationships based on the law of love, which allows us to see a way out, to fix what is wrong, yeah? To understand and invent new ways of thinking, new attitudes, and new ways of aspiring humanity to change. 10, 20, 30 years ago, it'd be impossible to tell someone they need to buy an electric car and they need to get rid of fossil fuel. But 30 years from now, it will not be hard at all. People will automatically be in their heart going, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I can see it, I feel it, I want it, I need it. Yeah? Because we are a collective consciousness through the avatar. We are a collective consciousness through the process of the soul and the integration of love. Yeah? So despite war, despite the processes of us pulling us down in previous lives and in present life, you know, we are being redeemed. Yeah, and our process of being able to send that light out and change people. Every person who carries an etheric weaver, every person who carries a solar form, every person who sits on a mat or buys a meditation pyramid, you can multiply that by thousands to the effect of the rest of humanity. Yeah, because we are almost like a holograph. Yeah, we are in duplication, multiplication. We are completely connected to each other as all one. So when we do spiritual things and we connect to something spiritually and it changes your life, it literally raises you up and it changes all your pain and your suffering and the way that you see the world and how your friends react to you, and as more of a spiritual person, as more of a person who's there to help and to redeem, and that all of a sudden you're able to say, well, this is made by Christ and Christ is incarnated, you know, that literally opens the field for the future. Because in the future, we are in an ashram. The whole world is an ashram of Christ. It is for the reincarnation of every living being to be in the presence of Christ on earth as heaven. Yeah? Right now, we have to go through a suffering process of dying, having heart attacks, getting into car accidents, and all of a sudden we go through, you know, a process of leaving the body, looking down on the body, and then we go through this kind of a light and we manifest into a place where there's Christ, yeah? There's heaven, yeah? And we are being redeemed. But if the situation comes to where we have to come back to earth and all of a sudden we're brought right back down that tunnel, right back into our body, but when we enter our body, we are redeemed. We're not the same person. We don't feel like doing the things that we did that are negative to our body, negative to our mind, negative to our fellow man. We are very spiritually connected, and that means ashram. That means that when you entered heaven, you find out we are all one, and that we are responsible for that, not in some linear way, but in the ability to respond, and the ability to see things differently, and feel things differently, and love people, and be loved, yeah? Sense the love that you get from people and relax. Take it easy, it's okay. Yeah? You find that out the moment you get into heaven. Now, there isn't a worry that you got to think of. There isn't anything you got to think of that's negative. You have no karma once you've entered heaven. You know, it's not until you come back to earth service, and the memory of your earth cycle and all the things that comes with it, and the environment and people and circumstances that hold you down, that put you into wrong relationships. Yeah? So my work is to give us the opportunity to enter heaven without that death, through rebirth, yeah? Through the process of the science of redemption, through the opportunity to do meditation with me, for the process of me to do darshans with people like this, but in much longer periods of time, for a whole length of the entire day, for me to speak just as I would in heaven, as I do every day, 24 hours a day, but not in the presence of people, yeah? But for me to do this with you, it will bring you to the place where you are at when you die. You will meet me, yeah? No matter what your choice of religion is, I'm the dude that you're going to come across. I'm the one that's going to talk to you, and I'm going to calm you down, yeah? I'm going to show you that love exists, and that all is well, and everything is fine, and that's all a power of the God that manifests us all. It's all a part of a plan. Yeah, and we can forgive everybody. We can forgive everything, and we can forgive every single event that took place in our life that we thought was tragic, that we thought was negative. It's all working out of a plan, and we can make a better world. We can transcend bad choices. Yeah, the choice of sending our children off to play football and going off to football games and allowing people to have brain damage and all kinds of things go wrong, and our fanaticism just grows stronger and stronger. You know, as we enter heaven, we'll find there's no football. You know, we'll find there's no fanaticism, that God is the only one that we revere. Yeah, and we revere each other in the light of God, as though we have God within us, and we feel God's presence inside of us, and we don't have. Once we have that reality inside of ourselves and we're living in that reality, we don't need these empty experiences. You know, we don't need to think our life is boring. We need to get away from our daily drudge by going off to a football game and painting ourselves and going to some fanatic thing. That fanaticism is meant for God. That energy of our sixth ray, take it from the glamour of fanaticism, it turns to faith. Yeah? It turns to love. It turns to seeing the ideal and being the ideal, experiencing the truth behind God's creation and knowing that you have a place where God created for you, and that you never have to feel that you're alone. You never have to feel that you're separate. And you're never bored, ever, in life. Life every single day comes up giving you more opportunities and more circumstances to party, to enjoy yourself, to love life, to see all the wonderful, fantastic things that are provided by God for you in this life. And it's paradise, yeah? All the world is that way. It just needs to move in that evolutionary state, and it's happening. So that's my little talk for that relationship and how that works and how we are in that process. It doesn't matter if your neighbor doesn't believe in the coming of Christ or believe that the tools are represented by Christ. None of that matters. It is the truth in the fact that it is, and my work is happening behind the scene. I'm not put in a situation to where I feel people have to understand, people have to seek me out, people have to believe in me. You know, I don't have that thought, I don't have that experience. My only experience is that I believe in everybody else. I believe in the world. I believe in God's presence in the manifestation of this world. And I see the changes in the world, and I give thanks for that every day. All the changes that are happening in the world are opportunities, and they are being accepted by humanity, and they're willing to make changes from what is really difficult for them to let go of to making it easier for them to let go of, because it simply makes sense. It's just common sense. Yeah? So now we're going to start with the meditation, and in the meditation we're going to do two kinds of Om. We're going to do Om, A-U-M. Om. We're going to do that 3 times, and we're going to breathe in slowly, and then we're going to breathe out slowly. And as we breathe out, we're going to do Om. And then at the end of that third, we're going to start another Om, which is Om. And we'll do that 3 times. Yeah, and that kind of sets our vibration, both inside and outside. Yeah, so as we finish those 3 of each of those 2 Oms, we'll go into silence just for about a minute. Yeah, then right after that, we're going to do an invocation, and I'll lead the invocation. And after every little paragraph, you know, I'm going to say, I invoke the power, the love, the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. That's the very beginning. Once I say that, you repeat it. Yeah? You invoke. I invoke the power, the love, the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. That's just a prayer. You're doing that with God. Your ashram is, yeah, I'm with God. I believe in God. God is everything. Yeah? My soul, yeah, great. I'd love to have that happening in everybody and everything. Yeah? The monad, whoa, knowing God, seeing God, having all within the enormous unity of God's consciousness, and see that unity manifested. Yeah, I can invoke that. Yeah? Then that manifestation of invoking your ashram, soul, and monad becomes the next manifestation of to guide me into the right activity in the plan. And that's God. God is guiding you into the right activity of the plan. It's not God taking away your free will or making anything hard on you, but God is constantly moving in the well-wisher of life and wishes everybody well, wishes everybody change, wishes everybody to evolve. And we're going to all do this together. No one's going to be superior. Everybody's going to be in this thing all as one. So it's going to help to invoke that we are guided. Guide me into the right activity in the plan. Yeah? And then once I say that paragraph, you repeat it. Yeah? And then the next paragraph is to clarify and stimulate my mind. Yeah? That's the process of what it is that might keep us from going into change, is our mind, our linear mind, our negative emotions, and our negative physical reality around us. We need to invoke an influence that allows us to have clarity of mind. The next one is to transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. Yeah, we may have reactive responses, we may have habitual responses, we may have inherited belief systems that we carry, but they're all delusionary. Yeah, so we're invoking to transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. Yeah, and every time I say it, you're to repeat that. And then I'll say the next one, to energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. Yeah, and that's not just for your own healing, but that's to bring about a connection of your unification within all things. Yeah, to energize, to vitalize, and to heal my physical and etheric body means that I'm not just healing myself, but I'm healing all things. Yeah, I'm vitalizing all things. Yeah. And then the next one, so there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Yeah? And that flow of energy is God's blessing. That's the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, manifesting through all of us, giving us a strong impression that we're one with God, all through our mind, our emotions, and our physical reality. Yeah? So we could see the things if we have negative things in our life, if we have negative things sitting on the wall, if we have negative things that we're listening to, we need to make a change in our life. And it's these invocations that helps us discern and discriminate, and helps us to gain enough love inside of ourselves so that we can let go. Not depending on what our friends think, not depending on what our relatives may think, not depending on what other people think, but ourselves. Yeah? What is it we feel? Yeah? Because we want to transmute our physical and our emotions and our mental body. Yeah? To do that, we need to use discernment, discrimination, and look around our life and know that we need to make some real choices here in order to make sure that we have all right relationships in our life so we can benefit from the influence of God. The more, it doesn't have to be religious fanaticism, it just has to be discernment, discrimination, and know that negative talking, negative friends, things that are so, delusionary, watching football all day long, waiting for the next game, waiting for the next basketball game, waiting for all these different things are just strategies for you to be absorbed in financial waste. Yeah? And if we can straighten out our economy by us not spending our money on things that are wasteful, yeah, but put it into things that would make our life more prosperous, yeah, make our life much better, enjoy our life on a day-to-day basis, and not have a fanatical process of that process, but have a relationship of ourselves by making choices and allowing that. Then all of a sudden we find that we have more money than what we had before. And we're able to do more things than what we were able to do before. And we can see people in ways that are about friendship and kindness and caring, and how we can share in that process. And our prosperity grows, we should be able to give more for those who can't, who don't have. Yeah, that's where our interest should be, not football, baseball, or basketball, but children that are starving. Old people that are just living a very hard life and not being taken care of with love and understanding. Yeah? There are all things in life that we need to pay attention to and behave and do the right thing and bring about right actions so that we can clear the karma of previous lives very quickly in a single life. And your next life is going to be so transcendent, so wonderful, so much more God, that God can then orderly put together a life for you in the plan, manifesting an enormous amount of benefits for your fellow man through you. Because all life is life in service. It's not about running around feeding the poor and being active in that. That's a part of it. But your main thing is that your life is a fortunate life. That you feel fortunate. That you feel that you're being provided for. That you feel that things are happening in ways that it is part of God, and God is happy with what you're doing. God is proud of you for the things that you do. Not in any fanatical way, but in a real way. Yeah? And it's all by us being in right relationship to God and doing these meditations and aligning ourselves energetically that we get transformed, transmuted, and we transcend the past. and we start living for the future. Yeah? Not that we're going to just have one life to live and this is it and let's just go play football. Let's just do football games. We do not have it that way. We will reincarnate in our next life. We need to make sure that we have good economy and good ecology. We need to save the planet. We need to foster the relationship of human conditions so that we can bring about those human conditions that is good karma throughout the world, and we will end all wars. We will end all major forms of suffering. Yeah? Cars will be robotic. They will drive themselves. We will never have another accident again. Hospitals will hardly have anybody coming to it because of preventive medicine and energetic minds and energetic understanding and the influence of healing ourselves by being able to discern, discriminate through the life of God. Because God will give us these gifts, give us these understandings, and keep moving us in the direction to where we have much longer lives rather than these short little 70-year lives. We will have 100-year lives, 200-year lives, 300-year lives, and there'll never be a day of boredom. And we won't be sitting around decrepit, sitting in a wheelchair trying to get through our first 100 years. Yeah? We'll be just as we are when we're around 40 years old. We'll be lively, we'll be vital, and we'll have the most fun you can ever imagine in life. Yeah? And it'll all be provided over and over again as life gets better and better and better. Yeah? So we need to really stick together and know that we have to get rid of the old. We have to get rid of processes that are fanatical and economically wasteful and bring ourselves into a good economy to create a good ecology. Yeah? Get solar on your house, get an electric car, move forward in the world. And the faster we go into it, massively, the faster those productions and everything and opportunities will come to the rest of humanity to make it possible. Yeah? So that's, again, the rest of my spill. So now we're going to do the meditation. We're going to do the invocation right after we do the 3 invocations of Om, Om, and then Om. Yeah? We'll do this invocation. At the end of that, we're going to be silent again. Then I'll say, take a deep breath. And at that point, we're going to begin the Om, Om. And we're going to do that for 20 minutes. Keep your eyes closed. Stay focused. Keep your breathing deep. Yeah? Allow yourself to not fall out of track. No matter what goes on in your mind, try and stay focused. Try and stay relaxed. Get in a comfortable position. Yeah? And at the end of the 20 minutes, I'll say 2 minutes. And that means that we're going to break for 2 minutes. We're going to continue breathing the same way we were during the Om, but we're going to not do the Om for 2 minutes. And then they're going to put on a track that I did, yeah, that's called Coming Destiny. And it's a series of invocations that I did on this CD that allows us to sit quietly and listen to these invocations as part of a way in which we will dispel the glamour in the world. Yeah? It invokes us into that energy. It invokes us into an understanding that is very esoteric, and it's very much where I come from in the mind and understanding. You know, and it'll be literally brought into your experience, brought into your mind, brought in to clear your emotions, brought in to clear your physical body, and allow you to receive this invocation to be a part of that coming destiny. That destiny where we have cleared the astral plane, we have eliminated the glamours, and we have brought about massive virtue throughout humanity, bringing about enormous love and health and long life to the masses of humanity that right now are in a state of suffering, short life, and low economic abilities. Yeah? So we'll finish that invocation, which is a CD that'll last for about 13 minutes. Just stay quiet, focus on your breath. Yeah? You're going to be doing a meditation during that time. Listen intently to every word on the CD. And at the end of that, it'll go silent again. Then I'll say, open your eyes, and we'll be back, and I'll talk a little more, and that'll be the end of the meditation for today. So I want to thank everybody that's out there for being a part of this meditation, that there's people all around the world that are up late at night or up early in the morning or whatever time, because time changed throughout the planet. And right now we're all together, we're all connected on this particular moment, and that we're all going to do this meditation for the betterment of the planet and for the betterment of ourselves. So let's get ready. Let's close our eyes, and we'll begin the process of doing the Om 3 times, Om 3 times, silent to just a minute or so, and then I'll begin the invocations, and you repeat back after every sentence. Okay? Okay, eyes closed. Take a deep breath. Now we'll do the invocation. Just repeat after me every sentence. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. To guide me into the right activity in the plan. To clarify and stimulate my mind. To transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. To energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. So there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now we'll begin the meditation of the Om. Take a deep breath. 2 minutes. Just focus on your meditation. Focus on your breathing. And in about 2 minutes, we're going to put on the coming destiny. Relax yourself. Focus yourself in the soul. Then sound the Om. Breathe it out upon the world of all mankind. And quietly, without sound, express the will of God moves the world. This is a thought you should keep while expressing the Om. Then say slowly and thoughtfully, "The past has gone. I am the past. It makes me what I am. The future comes. I also am the coming destiny, and therefore I am that. The present flows from out the past. The future colors that which is. I make the future also by my present knowledge of the past and the beauty of the present, and therefore I am that I am." Sound the Om 3 times softly. Then say quietly, with intent and emotional poise, "I know the law, and towards the goal I strive. Naught shall arrest my progress on the way. Each tiny life within my form responds. My soul has sounded forth that call, and clearer day by day it sounds. The glamour holds me not. The path of light streams clear ahead. My plea goes forth to reach the hearts of all mankind. I seek, I cry to serve your need. Give me your hand and tread the path with me." Focus inward daily. Use the breath and the sacred word. Then do the following intensive visualization exercise. Imagine a path of golden light leading from where you stand to a vast, two-leaved door. Then see, rolling along this path, a disc or a wheel of rose, which you send forth, and which eventually disappears through the door. Then send along the same track
a disk of vivid green, and follow it by a disk of golden yellow. Both disappear the same way. Then send a disk or a wheel of a radiant electric blue, which rolls along the golden path, but which does not enter through the door, but remains there, hiding the door from sight. Picture then yourself as standing before the electric blue disk, having traversed the golden path, and there, meditating upon the following words: I am the way myself, the door I am. I am the golden path, and in the light of my own light I tread the way. I enter through the door, I turn and radiate. Sound the Om 3 times, breathing it out upon the world from the highest point in your consciousness that seems to you at all possible. As one awakens to their place in the plan of God, and they bring forth dharma unto the world, it is to dissipate all world glamour. Ponder upon the old commentary of thousands of years ago, which is written, they come and stand within the midst of the whirling forms, some of a beauty rare and some of horror and despair they stand. They look not here or there, but with their faces turned toward the light they stand. Thus through their minds the pure light streams to dissipate the fogs. They come and rest. They cease their outer labors, pausing to do a different work. Within their hearts is rest. They run not here or there, but from a point of peace and rest. That which upon the surface veils and hides the real begins to disappear, and from the heart at rest a beam of dissipating force projects, blends with the shining light, and then the mist of all mankind's creation disappears. They come and they observe. They own the eye of vision. Likewise, they own the eye of right direction, of all empowered forces. They see the glamour of the world, and seeing, they note behind it all the true, the beautiful, and the real. Then through the eye of the Buddha comes the power to drive away the veiling, swirling glamours of that glamorous world. They stand, they rest, they observe. Such are their lives and such the service that they render to the world of mankind. Focus upon the power to stand within the light, leading to right reflection of the light. The power to rest in spiritual being, so as to focus the soul within the chosen field of service. The power to attain right observation, so as to see correctly that which should be done. Your soul energy normally finds expression through the highest quality of mind. Think in the highest form of beingness and allow yourself to rest. Sound the Om as the personality. Do so at the highest mental point, raising your aspiration at the same time with the mind to the soul. Then sound the Om as a soul, breathing it out into the will to love all beings and arresting its descent at the astral body. Do this by an act of will and the use of the creative imagination. Having vitalized the astral body and imagined the fusion of the soul, the personality, and the astral force, then direct this triple beam of energy to the heart center, rushing it directly into the heart center, so it might be expressed as the soul. Focus upon this invocation. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad to guide me into the right activity and the plan, to clarify and stimulate my mind, to transform and transmute my feelings and emotions, to energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body, so there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ, to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, you can open your eyes. And welcome back, everybody. So I'm just going to continue a little bit more about the esoteric reality of reincarnation. There's a lot of teachings around how maybe this is our first incarnation, or maybe we're an old soul, or maybe, all these different things, or maybe we've cleared our karma and this is our last life, and we think we actually can choose that, or some kind of divine relationship between us and God has chosen the fact that we don't need to help on this earth any further, and we need to go on to some other place. Yeah? Just to let you know that that is all a delusion. Yeah, there is absolutely nothing to that. Yeah, we reincarnate. We die, we reincarnate, we die, we reincarnate. We are on this planet for the reality of life. Yeah, we're not on this planet for wisdom, just to attain wisdom and get so bright and enlightened that we can then just leave at a time when we actually have now something to offer. That's like saying Buddha left the earth after enlightenment. Yeah, that is not the time you leave the earth. That's the time you choose to stay. That's the time when you have something to offer. Jesus did not leave the earth and ascend to heaven and sit next to God and watch over this thing, and just take one incarnation. That's not the way it works. Yeah? Jesus was on this earth prior to Jesus. Jesus is on this earth just like yourself at all times. That's how the reality is, that God is always with us. Yeah? It's not some ghost in the sky or some psychic energy to where we can channel and communicate with Christ or communicate with God. The reality is that Christ is always here, and God is always here, and God is the evolution of the tree of life. And the tree of life has nothing to do with dying and then disintegrating and not having another incarnation. It doesn't matter whether or not you're an atheist or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Catholic or whatever thing you think you are. Yeah? It's greater than that. We are, in all truth, we are with God. We are all the children of God. This is all the creation of God. Yeah? This is Adam's earth. This is God's earth. It's not some pagan scenario. It's not some set in a belief system of knowing due to some form of illusionary knowledge. We are here at all times. Yeah? When we incarnate, we're here to work off previous karma, but it's not like we've had evil karma, bad karma to work off, and we have to do meritorious acts in order to make it better. We are in the grand scheme of things. We are in a massive, unified reality of all of humanity on one earth, and we are manifesting in an evolutionary way. That's why auspicious things happen around the clock, around the earth. That's why when all the pyramids were built, they were built around the same time, no matter where you're at on the planet. That's why when inventions take place, they take place around the same time, not by one person, but by multiple. Yeah? Every single event that takes place on this planet is part of an evolutionary reality of God's plan. And we are all just part of that plan, receiving the blessings of that plan in an ever-changing reality. God is change. God is not stagnant. God is not a series of cycles where we come and all of a sudden we're in the New Age cycle where everything is so much better. We are constantly in a cycle where everything gets better. Yeah, we can only look back and see the past is really, really bad. We can't look back and say, oh, I wish I was in the period of the Dark Ages in Europe so that we can run around with swords and Sir Lancelot and think that all things were good. Yeah, if you want to live with maggots and you want to live with mice running around and the plague and disease and illness and no refrigeration and the worst possible living conditions of poverty, then, that's the truth. Yeah, and there is no such thing as looking back and thinking that there was a better time. There was no better time than present time. It's all a collective process of the evolution of our growth, our evolution. Yeah, we're not going into a future to where we're more technologically involved and we become less communicative, less wholesome, less in right relationship to each other. This whole delusion of thinking that we have to be vegetarians living on a farm in some kind of utopian attitude is a delusion, and it isn't reality. True reality is that we are a collective of many diverse situations, and each one of us have a place in that process. Some people are better farmers, some people are better in technology, some people are better in science, some people are better in politics. We all play a part. Yeah, and each one of those things that we do are connected to all the other things that goes on. There is no greater, there is no lesser. Everything is involved in the great plan of working out of a plan. So it doesn't matter where you're incarnated, it doesn't matter who you are. We are all going to reincarnate, and we're going to all have this incarnation in the process of whatever it turns out to be. The more that we can move toward God by elevating ourselves to being kinder, generous, charitable, giving, all those things are qualities that takes patience, it takes strength, it takes courage. Rather than thinking that we have to use strength and courage in order to be strong and bully people and push people around. When we start to realize that life is really about being able to calm down and see change, see a different way of looking at things, not be so stagnant, be more open-minded, using a lighter mind with a lighter way of looking at things, with lightheartedness, allowing yourself to change with humor. Through a process of humor, we all have the ability to come through this thing with an enormous better reality. Things have to be lighthearted. Things can't be so concrete and knowing and serious. That's how we lived in the past in caste systems. That's how parents and grandparents would choose people of their caste system and their particular level of financial abilities. And they would force us to marry into those circumstances without love being involved whatsoever. And we had to just follow along. Those processes are all dissolving. We are moving into a time to where we have the ability to choose. We have a strong attraction to be in right relationship, and we have a strong attraction to love each other. And in doing that, it frees ourselves up from this dogma and way in which we would look at each other and thinking that, oh, you're a Christian, I'm a Muslim, we really can't tolerate each other. Look what you're going to do. Oh, look what you've done in the past. All those things are delusionary and illusionary and part of our complex way of having an emotional instability, a mental instability. We see the world in an unstable way. We can't see it clearly for what it really is. So we need meditation. We need the use of these tools. We need the blessing of Christ. If we even consider the fact that Christ reincarnates and is on this earth, and we all reincarnate, and we're all on this earth at the same time, then that process of our time on this earth becomes a process of understanding the changes that take place, and we can actually share and help other people get to know Christ. It's not about, oh, have you met Christ? Have you taken Christ into your heart? That's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to say and a wonderful thing to experience, but you can't expect it of people. You can't just go to a church and think you're going to walk out and be a holy person. A lot of times things will just continue carrying on. People continue doing all the negative things and all the doubt and all the worry and all the fear and all the anger, and still their fanaticism carries out, so they go to the football game right after church, and it just, as long as fanaticism and things like that continue, then what we're supposed to be getting out of religion, what we're supposed to be getting out of our spiritual integration, just slows down to a very slow inertia. And we can't really get it. We become more followers of blind faith. And we think that this Catholic Church or whatever church that we're involved in is all perfect. The Pope is perfect. The priest is perfect. The pulpit is incredible. The religious sermon is from God itself. The Bible is written by God itself. We go into this blind state where we actually do have strong belief systems that that's the way we're going to interpret it. And in doing so, we lose our ability to discern, discriminate, and witness Christ when Christ is right in front of you, when Christ is on earth. We become veiled of the actual simple truth that only comes from one teacher, from the Christ. We're in different cycles of time where the Christ comes as Babaji, or the Christ comes as Krishna, or as Buddha, or many different manifestations of Buddha and Krishna. And in all those realities, each and every one is identical. They have exactly the same teaching, they are the same person, and they manifest the same energy into the world. So it's not about us believing just in one Christianity or one Muslim belief system or one Hindu belief system. It's about us learning to have an open mind and develop a good, right relationship and realize that Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, all of it is the same person. It's just many different lives, and each life has a different name and a different location, representing what can best be taught to that group of people. Yeah, if I'm incarnated in India, well, then I've got to deal with that, and I've got to deal with all these Hindu believers and everything that's going on. If I'm incarnated in Israel, then I have to deal with that and all of those religious believers on their particular relationship. Yeah, so then that's the way people see me. That's the way I'm interpreted historically. And it all just kind of goes around a box of belief system, you know, and putting me in a box and putting me into a specific kind of what is believed to be my interpretation of who I am and what it is I'm doing. And it doesn't connect together the dots. It doesn't connect together the previous incarnations and the ones that are coming. So this life, I'm going to do everything I can possibly do to help clear that up and help give people the opportunity not just to go about going, do you believe in Christ? Have you accepted Christ into your heart? I actually want to introduce myself. Yeah, I want to make it possible for that you know me, you see me, you feel me, you experience me. You know I'm living. It's not a channeled by somebody. You don't go to a medium or anything like that. You can get a direct connection with Christ. And as long as I live in this life, that will happen. And I promise you, as soon as I disincarnate, I will reincarnate, and I will further it within less than 10 years to come back out and externalize and make it known again. And I will continue doing that life after life after life. Yeah? That's the difference between now and the previous lives. Because there were so many Lunar Lords, so many religions, so many dogmas that would do everything in order to give stronger teachings of a bias and a way of interpretation that made it almost impossible for me to externalize and come out and say who I am and why I'm here and what I'm doing. So I had to sit like a Babaji in a forest with no disciples and no connection other than telepathy, and just a few people, maybe 10, 12, and they'd die and then reincarnate, and I'd have to resurrect their memory, resurrect their ability of spiritual integration and understanding. And it usually took 30 or 40 years for them to get to that point for me to continue my work, continue my relationships. And the numbers were extremely small, you know, but I did keep my connections with humanity, and I did telepathically overshadow the evolution of humanity in a very connected, integrated way. So we're at where we're at today, and I'm able to now reincarnate, going directly from Babaji to this life, and be able to manifest an enormous amount of telepathic integration from all that time that I was able to be of service. So everything I do, all my meditations and all my work is an integration of the Christ principle. Yeah, and it's an integration of cosmic Christ reality, a monadic reality. And there's very few, if any, that understand what monad means. And monad means that we're all one. And it means that God is in the principle of life, not in the principle of knowledge, but in life. And that by living, by us reincarnating and living our lives, we go through a school of understanding, a school of collective consciousness, and we develop our telepathy, yeah, where all the energy of the astral delusions and illusions and glamours get less and less and less as life goes on. And we gain more virtue, more telepathy, and more intuition. That's what I'm really, really, really working on now in this point in time. And that's only going to grow. That's only going to be developed more and more. There's actually a documentary that's being made in the next year, a very professional documentary, and the same kind of people that made the Little Buddha. You know, this will be a documentary specifically on my work, my incarnation, my previous incarnations, everything that I'm teaching right now will be the part of what that documentary is about. And this will go out worldwide. This will allow a lot of people to become aware of my incarnation and the work that I'm doing and how that can benefit all of humanity and how I can integrate and synthesize all our previous lives together, all the history of the planet and how it actually is involved in the process of us constantly taking reincarnations and evolving ourselves from one learning process into the next learning process and carrying that forth from one life to the next. So that's what I got to say for today. Yeah, let's try our best to try and do what we can to manifest the virtues that we have in life. Yeah, try and do the Om, try and listen to my CDs, try and wear the Shambhala forms that you bought. Yeah, try and connect together, through a telepathic bridge, through all of us. People who witness seeing your Shambhala form, people who see you pull out an etheric weaver in a massage therapy session or any work that you may be doing to help other people, it is an immediate bridge for them to meet Christ without you going, have you met Christ yet? Have you been reborn? Yeah, give them rebirth, give them redemption. Yeah, give it to them. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm not asking anybody to join anything, to pledge to anything. I'm here to serve. I'm here to incorporate your ability to receive the Christ, and I will present that influence to you through my work. So everybody, thank you all for being at this meditation and taking the time, whatever time it is, and hope all of you enjoyed it. And this particular teaching will be online later on, so that you'll be able to listen to it again. Yeah, and those who missed it, we'll make it available to get to them so that they can go through the meditation on their own. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you again soon. Hopefully, I think on the 18th, we'll be doing the meditation again. So don't forget and try and sign up early. Makes it a lot easier for the monks and nuns than making thousands of calls trying to help to remind people that this is what's going on at this point in time. So thank you again, enjoy, and have a really wonderful day.